Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you for coming to this talk. Sorry we're running a little late, the session before ran over a bit. For those of you that I've not met before, my name's James Price. I'm a molecular plant pathologist and plant nematologist from the James Hutton Institute, but I'm also the project leader for PCN Action Scotland. So I see some familiar faces, so some of you I know are aware of this project. Those of you that aren't might know that I always like to start my slides with a quick introduction to PCN and the current case in Scotland. Before I get into this, I do want to sort of highlight really that PCN is a global problem. It's not just in Scotland. It's always going to be focused on Scotland because that's where we're based, that's where the project is. But it is a problem across the UK, EU, worldwide really. And it really is only because of the Scottish Government's sort of proactive attitude towards PCN management that we have these sort of figures. So with that in mind, these figures are now the most up to date that we have. So in September 2025, we had almost 22,000 hectares of Scottish seedland officially infected with PCN. This is seedland that can no longer produce seed because we have PCN in that, because we have the statutory regulations which prevent the seed being grown. Perfectly good reason for this. We just don't want to spread that PCN anywhere else. We have an estimated 41% of the ware land is infected. Now, this is just from the ware survey. Based on how the ware survey is actually done, this is likely to be quite an overestimate, but always better to be on the side of caution. Put these together, and we have really 59,000 hectare of total potato land infected with PCN. So that's quite a large amount, but again, we wouldn't know that it's all there if we didn't have the capability and capacity to actually look for this. What does this mean for the rest of the UK? Well, Scotland provides almost 80% of the seed potatoes that are grown across GB. The UK then uses this seed potato to become Europe's sort of 5th largest potato producer and exporter. And it's not just potatoes that are impacted by PCN. So while PCN won't infect narcissus bulbs, Scotland does produce 80% of the world's narcissus bulbs. And if PCN is in the soil that's associated with these bulbs, they can't be exported. So they can't propagate on this, but still a problem, still another sector that's impacted by PCN. So what are we doing about this? Well, in 2020, the Scottish Government funded one of the largest plant health projects that they've ever funded. And this is now known as PCN Action Scotland. And PCN Action Scotland is actually a group, cross-sector organisation. So we've got research, so academic groups in there, but also agronomists, more sort of technical side of things, but statisticians, and we have people from Scottish Government policy colleagues on this project as well. And that's really useful. Having those links down to SASA, down to Scottish Government, means that actually we've been able to make some fairly big changes or waves and get people to actually talk about PCN across the industry. It's also been quite good because we have been able to initiate, help initiate the GB PCN forum, which is something that hopefully, if you haven't heard about it already, you'll start to hear a bit more about it soon. So this is with the help of Cupgra and NIAB and Harper, GB potatoes. Our project is split over 9 work packages, and all these work packages sort of integrate with each other to one main goal. Well, 3 main aims really. And this is to increase the sector's capability to implement change, preserve the land base for future generations, and manage the current epidemic. These are our 3 big aims that we said we're going to achieve in this project. And I want to focus really just on work package 2 here. So this is our decision support system work package. And the aim for this work package alone was simply to develop a readily accessible, relevant, up-to-date, and easy-to-use decision support system for the potato industry. That's something we think we've done, and that's really what we're going to focus on today. So this is in the form of a web tool, and really I want to demonstrate what this web tool does. The tool is available online now, so really want to focus on that. But to get to that point, we do sort of have to cover a bit of the boring stuff of how the model actually works. I don't want to focus too much on this though, so I won't go over it too much. Very briefly, we have split the life cycle of PCN into sort of 4 main stages. We have the first stage, A over here, the hatching. This is sort of an active release of the juveniles from their eggs. This will only happen in response to root exudates from a suitable host plant, so potatoes in our case. We then have sections B and C, which sort of represent a successful interaction with a root and successful initiation of a feeding site and mating. And then after this, we've got section D, which is formation of infective cysts, viable cysts, which carry the next generation of PCN. And this is something that is sort of mapped onto the model. So if we imagine this is our population in the soil, we have viable eggs here. As the potatoes are planted, we see a reduction in the viable eggs because the eggs have released their juveniles. These juveniles then undergo a period of interaction with the plant, and depending on what that host is, depending on what the plant is, then the amount of viable cysts is changed. And it really depends on the inputs that we've got here, which will impact how much that changes. So most of the model is based on these sort of 5 factors. I would say it's really important that understanding your PCN population, understanding the species of PCN that's in the soil, but also understanding some more basic science, such as the rotation intervals, and also your variety selection is really important. And it will impact your PCN populations and how the model is able to sort of predict what's happening to those populations. We've always called this the Decision Support System work package. We did want to name it something else. PCN Pro was thrown around for a bit, but unfortunately the parking charge notice people beat us to that one, so we weren't able to use that. The PCN calculator sort of, I guess, reminds everyone of the old PCN calculator that was produced by the AHDB, which isn't available anymore. And we wanted to sort of highlight that actually this isn't the same as that model. It is a new model, a new and improved model that outperforms that old one. And so we've actually gone with PCN Scenario Planner. So you'll see PCN SP around in various areas. So those of you that are familiar with our homepage, our website, pcnhub.ac.uk, you will recognize our homepage here. Right now, you will be able to see that PCN SP has been added to the top of the banner there. If you follow that link, you will get a web page which just shows you basic information about what our scenario planner is. And then you can follow a link at the bottom, and that will take you to our web tool. Now, I'm going to demonstrate what this tool is. There isn't a laptop up here, so we have to hand over to our assistant, Kerry, at the back. I have a predefined scenario that I want to run through with you. And then at the end, once we've done this, once we understand the model and what it can do, we should be able to have some audience participation. If you want to test different things, we can do that live now. And I'm hoping there's no technological difficulties with that. Okay, right. I've left my scenario at the back there, so I'm just going to dip and get that really quickly. This is what the system will look like. You'll initially get a login page. This is completely free to use, so everyone will have access to this. You'll get a login page. You simply have to have an account. You'll never get spammed or emailed or anything. It's just a security thing on our end so that we don't get flooded with bots and all sorts trying to just run models constantly. So it's just a simple email address and password that you need. And once you've done that, you will get this web page load up. Now, we haven't put any scenarios in here, so we'll be doing this as we go along, and this is what it will look like. So at the side here, we have a plus scenario button. So if you click on that, you get this system open up here, and you can see these different options here. So to start with, we're just going to put in a name, which we'll just call BP25 test or BP test, something like that. And we'll select a region. So these regions are based in Scotland for now. So it's Scottish funding for this project. It's Scottish data. It is based in Scotland. This is pretty much giving the model some temperature data, weather data, which impacts various parts of the life cycle. There is plans to expand this in the future, but for now it is based on Scottish regions. So if you want to select Angus and Perth, and sampled on, we can just select November 2025. So you have these sort of calendar options that come up, and it will also fill in what we've got 20 years of model we're going to run here. So we'll have 0 pallida population. We'll start with a Rostokiensis population of 20 eggs per gram and just run that. So if we apply that, this will show our model running. So this is just sort of demonstrating that we have a population at 20 eggs per gram at the start, and we've just got this natural decline rate. Every year that we go past, this population is going to naturally decline. This population has no potatoes in the field, and so as an obligate parasite, it can't actually produce the next generation. So this will just continuously decline the whole time. Now, we obviously are going to grow potatoes in this field, so we want to add in a Desiree crop, which we can do simply on the side here. So we've got our crops on the side. You can add a new crop here. You can click that and select varieties. So there is, at the moment, I think 93 varieties. It's 93 of the UK's most grown varieties available. You can either scroll through here or you can just type in Desiree, whatever's easiest, and find your variety. It's going to show you the Pallida and Rostokiensis resistance scores. We've highlighted the not so great resistance scores in red, so it sort of highlights that there might be a problem growing this variety from the get-go. We'll ignore nematicide for now, and we're going to plant this in April 2026. So again, you have that same menu, and you can just select April 26, and it will auto fill in the destroy date as well. So if we apply that, we'll see what that does to our population. So we can see now our 20 eggs per gram at the start of the population, start of this trial in 2025, is going to shoot up because Desiree has no resistance. So this is going to shoot right up as the population produces the next generations. Once we've done that, we can see that, again, because we have no future crops in there, that population is going to decline from it's about 430 eggs per gram. It's going to decline to pretty much a 0, and that's going to take 20 years to get to that stage. We can also look at yield loss. So there's a tab at the top here to look at yield loss. And we'll see that our yield loss in sort of orangey red here, it's not too bad. We started with quite a small population of Rostokiensis, so only losing at this stage maybe up to 20%. It's not the worst, but we can monitor that all the way through. So we're going to keep growing potatoes in this field, in this scenario. So if we can add another crop of Desiree in April 2032, we'll see what happens. So I hope you can see it is quite intuitive. It sort of leads you through all the different points as you go along, and it will highlight if you try and do something wrong. It will say there's a problem here. Okay, so our population has declined from the first crop of Desiree. It's going to shoot right back up again. Exact same reason. Desiree is non-resistant. That population is going to shoot up and then decline again. But we won't get back to that sort of 0 stage anymore. We can look at the yield again and see that in the second crop, we had a much higher population due to our Desiree crop in the first year, that now we're starting to lose a significant proportion of our crop. So we can add a nematicide to start to reduce that yield loss. It's something that we're all sort of fairly familiar with. So Kerry, you could add some nemathorin to the second Desiree. So at the moment, our options here are nemathorin and velum prime. These are simply because it's the ones we have the most data for. We were able to collect data through our project for this, but they are more popular choices. There are other sort of biological-based nematicides coming through now, but until we've got sort of robust data for this, we're not including that in the model. And you can see now that we've put this nematicide in, our yield loss has really reduced to pretty much where it was before. But if we pop back to the population side, you see that our population is still out of control. And just really reflects the thing that I think we're all fairly familiar with now, that is nematicides aren't actually reducing our PCN population, they're simply protecting the yield. And this is something that we need to be aware of with our nematicides. So our advice generally is always going to be to include some resistance. So instead of that second desiree crop, we could change it for Maris piper, which we know has Rostockiensis resistance. We know it's a very popular variety to be growing. And we can simply just change this over here. So you'll see our Rostock resistance is now in green because we've got a really good Rostock resistance. And that population is going to be better managed. That resistance is going to kick in, and rather than that huge increase that we saw before, we've now got a slower increase. So we want to keep managing this population. So we'll add a second Maris piper crop with nemathorin on April 2038. Yeah, we're sticking to a 6-year rotation. Okay, and we can see that now that population pretty much managed. It's right down at the bottom here. Really good sign. If we look at our yield loss, we'll be able to see that actually, because we've got reduced population to start with here, and we're using the nemathorin, we're protecting our yield pretty well now, or predicting anyway that we'd protect our yield pretty well. So if we pop back to the population side of things, and then in this scenario, we're going to decide that we can return to a desiree crop. Our population is managed enough that we're going to put a different crop in. So in April 2044, now we're going to put a desiree crop with nemathorin in. Yes, please. Okay, now as a non-resistant crop again, that population is going to start to increase. And if we want more information about that, you can see Kerry's just holding over the line here. You get more information. You can see how the pallida or the Rostock population has changed. You see now that we're back to like 14.5 eggs per gram. So essentially we've undone 20 years worth of work by putting that desiree crop back on. Really, this is the point I want to get across here, is that PCN is in this field. It's in this scenario. It needs to be in our minds all the time. We need to be thinking about what's this doing to the PCN population. So we don't only have to do Rostockiensis though. We can look what happens if this was a pallida population. So if we go back to the properties tab, we can change 20 eggs of Rostockiensis to 20 eggs of pallida. Obviously, none of these varieties have any pallida resistance in them, so that population is completely out of control, completely unmanaged. While we've got nemathorin, our yield is fairly well protected, but if we remove nemathorin, because we're expecting that it's probably going to be removed in, July 29? Is that I think that's the current date sort of slated for removing it. We will see that yield is going to drop right down. So Kerry can simply just go onto all of these and remove nemathorin. Okay, if we nip over to the yield loss, you see that we've got this huge yield loss now, completely unsustainable without the population management and the nematicide presence. We know though that we do have good resistance now to pallida. It's something that often people thought we don't actually have good pallida resistance, but actually we do. So we can change those final two crops. So we can change that second Maris piper to something like Elland and the second desiree to Amanda. All of these sort of newer varieties are available in here. It's one sort of huge benefit over the HDV model, the HDV calculator, is that we do have the latest varieties in there. And if we apply that and look at the populations, we'll see that we've managed to control it better. And really, I mean, that's the face of the model. We can start looking at different things. So we don't have to just do one species or the other. We can do multi-species. So if we want to add 20 eggs of rostock back in, we see that we get 2 lines now, one for pallida, one for rostockiensis. You see how the different varieties are able to manage these populations differently depending on the resistances that are present. We can also look at, as I said, nemathorin and vellum prime. So if you want to just add nemathorin and vellum prime onto 2 of the varieties, I don't think it matters which guy. So the model will show you that you've got an nematicide added because it colors this crop here. So we've got the sort of brown shade at the start there to say you've put a nematicide onto this crop. We also have the option not only to use chemical nematicides, but also cover crops. So at the bottom here, we've got some cover crop options. So we can add some oil radish. We have both mustard and oil radish in here. These are purely at the moment based on ones that we had enough data to feel confident in putting them in the model. So the oil radish is based on the bento variety. We have different biomass rates. So there's a low, medium, and a high. If you want to do a high one, Kerry. So this represents 9, 15, and 36 kilograms per hectare. And let's stick that in April 2031. You'll see the model now shows us a line here to say that we've stuck a cover crop in. We can see what happens to the decline rate of those viable eggs in the soil. It's going to decrease, which means it might be a sort of useful management tool to put a cover crop in before our potato crop to really reduce that further. We can flip over to the yield loss, and again, we can play around as much as we want. With our yield loss now, we see, our Maris piper yield loss was pretty great there, so maybe we want to go back and put some nemathorin on, maybe we want to go and put a cover crop in before it. We can play around with this as much as we want now. We have the opportunity to request new varieties. Obviously, there's new varieties coming out all the time. So if you go onto the potato crop properties here, and then if you click the plus option, you'll be able to just type in a new variety here, just whatever you want, and then press send, and that will email us and say that you've requested this new variety. We'll gather as much information as we can about it. We need tolerance information, nitrogen determinancy, rating, and PCN resistance. And then we can add these new varieties in. It shouldn't take too long to get them uploaded either. Finally, the bit we can do if we go back to the properties tab, is we can actually download a report here. So if we click on that, it'll download a PDF report of everything that we've done here. If we can open that up, you see you now have this report which has all of the information that we've put in. We can see who's created it, when they created it, what we've put in there. So what our field scenario was, how many eggs per gram we had, different populations, different crops we've put in, the cover crops, the potatoes, any nematicide treatments and when we were putting them in. And then scroll down a bit more, we can see our PCN population, how that's been managed. And we're hoping this is a really good tool for our growers to take to their agronomists and have this discussion with them. Say, well, should I be trying this variety? Should I be trying a cover crop? And then they can get some good independent advice from their agronomists on things that they've been able to play around with at home. So really that is what the model is. On the face of it, this model is completely free. I said it's available now. You can go on, make accounts and do as many scenarios as you want on the free version. That's not quite true, actually. Sorry, up to 5 scenarios free, but you can delete and remake them. So there is going to be a paid version of this model as well. I have some more information about that leaflets at the front. If you want to come and get one afterwards. The paid version is simply so we can continue support for this model. It was one of the downsides to the HDB model was that it was produced and then the support wasn't available for it. We want to keep this going. We have to manage server maintenance costs, things like this. We have a couple of options. So the paid for version, which isn't actually available just yet, has a economics model behind it. So if you wanted to tie your yield loss to actual financial data, we can do that on the paid version. It also allows integration of things like farm maps so that you can specifically have your area of the farm and different treatment plans for specific fields in there, and truly unlimited scenarios. We also have an industry side of things. So if you were McCain's, for example, or another breeder, you might have a bunch of PCN resistant varieties that you're looking to push. We can recolor this, reskin it, only put your varieties on there and the resistant varieties, and have that on your website. If that means that then we get to keep funneling new information into the free version, this is one of the best options we saw of doing it. It's also for maybe companies that have new nematicides, new bionematicides, things like this. We can fill all of these in, and you can sort of target it to highlight how good it is for your PCN population. So that's all I wanted to discuss today. We're perfectly on time, but if anyone has questions, I think we've probably got time to take them. I think, yeah. Okay. I think, yeah, we've got time for questions. If you want any of the scenario planner information, then you can get this from me at the end. And then, as with the other talks this morning, just want to highlight the GB Potatoes Industry Confidence Survey. If only takes 10 minutes to fill out, you could win a £50 voucher. We need everyone to participate in this really to get as much data as possible. Thank you very much. Question? Yeah, yes, so we're open to putting anything into there, but we need suitable data. So once we've got reproduced a sort of field scale data, which for now based in Scotland, but also we would get samples, trials in England as well, then we would add it on.